Certainly, the Italian game is a classic chess opening that has stood the test of time and is still played at the highest levels of the game. In the Italian game, understanding the central control, piece development, and pawn structure are key. Both sides need to find a balance between attacking and maintaining a solid position. As the game progresses, adapt your strategy based on your opponent's moves and the evolving position on the board. Remember that the Italian game often leads to rich middle game positions where tactical and positional understanding becomes vital. In this video I want to show you the traps in the Italian opening for the white side. The Italian game begins with e4 e5, knight f3 knight c6 bishop c4. Aiming to control the central squares and prepare for the development of the kingside pieces. Black develops their bishop to c5 square. After the black bishop has settled on the bishop square, usually here in the old days players used to play knight c3 all the time, but now in modern chess we want to move forward to pawn to c3 and dominate the center. The opponent can respond with next 6, attacking our pawn, or even play qe7. Below 1400 ELO, opponents tend to play d6, where next 6 is the most common move. In this position, here we play d4. After taking the center, if the opponent plays bishop b4 here, we get what we want. The most frequent moves here are nc3 and bd2 to block the check, but we move our king instead. This means we lose the right to castle, but in this position, there's a 66% chance of a white victory. Seldom familiar with this variation, black players are often surprised. Looking at the position in general, we've seized the center and can develop our queen. Here's where our trap begins. The trap unfolds as follows. The opponent usually develops their knight and aims to castle. Here, we chase the knight away with d5. After exchanging knights, you can capture the free bishop with qa4+. Sure, this way, we capture the bishop. Let's consider another variation where instead of the knight, black plays bg4. Because after qa4+, we can't check the king anymore. Here's another fantastic move involving the bishop, as the only defender of the bishop is the knight, and we can deflect the knight. After qb3, we both pressure the pawn on f7 and, when we chase the knight away, the opponent's bishop becomes loose. First, let's look at qe7. After this move, the pawn on f7 is protected. After d5, we chase the knight away. The most popular move is next 5. Here, we directly capture the bishop. As if we take the knight first, you'll notice that the queen protects the bishop. There's also the move bx5, let's examine that as well. After the bishop retreats, instead of immediately taking the f7 pawn, we play bg5. After this move, we want the queen. The opponent usually prefers the knight to e5. Now bxf7 plus check. After the king moves, the bishop goes to h5, and we intend to finish the game with qf7. If the opponent plays bs8, capture the bishop. After d5, you can see that the opponent doesn't have many moves left, and by checking the stockfish bar, you can realize that this position is quite advantageous for white. Again, let's analyze the different variants of the Italian game. As I said at the beginning of the video, it is a better move to advance the pawn to c3 instead of the knight c3 move. But in the variant we will analyze, we develop our knight to square c3. Knight f6, pawn d3, pawn d6, bishop to c5. We are pinning the knight. After that move h6 attacks to bishop. We are just capture the knight. Queen takes our bishop. We are playing knight d5. This move attacks the queen and threatens to attack the weak pawn on c7 and fork the king and rook. The queen must return to the starting square. Now we are play c3. After this move the black opponent can make a blunder and play bishop e6. We are playing d4. If the trade happens, the bishop is still under attack. Now we capture the bishop, and in response, they capture our knight with their pawn. We push the pawn to d5, forking their pieces. If instead they capture our knight, we capture their bishop with the pawn, and now both of their pieces are under attack. If they check our king with the bishop, we apply the same tactic, play kf4. The opponent retreats under the threat. After qa4, we capture the free bishop.